I get that this will go down as a series split for the road trip where the Pirates went 3-3, but considering all the meat they left on the bone in Colorado, this feels like one of those series that could haunt come the end of the year or even the trade deadline. Good morning and welcome to Offbeat here on North Shore 9 presented by FanDuel. My name is Alex Stumpf and this is a daily look at your Pittsburgh Pirates. I have covered series where I left or just watching it, I'm thinking this is the worst series of the year. The White Sox last year comes to mind. The Padres on the road in 2024, whenever the season was officially coming to an end, where they were just on that horrible losing streak, and it's that was the worst one of the year. Or in Tampa in 2023, whenever the wheels started to come off and that terrific April didn't really matter anymore. They were coming crashing down to reality. Or in 2022 in St. Louis, like I can name the actual series because they stick with me. And this Rocky series had that type of vibe. The Pirates had to win that series. Not, because they're looking at the standings quite yet or anything like that, but it's just such a bad team that they bullied earlier this year. And they didn't execute. They played sloppy, non-fundamentally sound, ugly baseball. And the Rockies won 2 out of 3 and came darn close to winning all three. Like Willie Castro in the bottom of the ninth hit the absolute snot out of that ball. Ended up being a double play, but in a lot of scenarios, a ball that hard, maybe it's a completely new ball game or at least a base hit there. That was a bad series for a multitude of reasons. The offense can't do anything against left-handed pitching. It's embarrassing that the OPS is 100 points lower against lefty starters than righty starters. It was maybe a bit expected because they came into this winter so hell-bent on adding left-handed hitters. They felt the lineup was too right-handed. They felt that PNC Park would be better suited for left-handed hitters. They wanted to add lefties, and Lau and O'Hearn have been solid additions. They don't exactly hit lefties, great themselves, but you know what? Horwitz is putting together better swings. They batted him leadoff. You still have these two veterans. And oh, yeah, you signed Marcell Ozuna, and he'll take care of lefties. He'll just end up being Kyle Freeland's 1,000th career strikeout. Doesn't get a hit against a guy with an 8 ERA. Pirates don't generate any offense against him. And that whenever they do load the bases with nobody out in the ninth inning and they don't come through, I get why people are upset about that moment. That is an incredibly frustrating moment, but it never should have gotten to that point. That game never should have been to a point where in the top of the ninth, they were down a run. Saturday, another game where they were spotted the first run. Horwitz should have popped out, but ball drops in, he hits a home run. Okay, Pirates get a free run. That's the only run they score. They give up a run defensively because Jake Mangum makes an ill-advised dive. I really don't know what his end game was there. And then Callahan, who is an infielder playing in the outfield, fumbles the ball and it turns into an inside the park home run. So your defense has let you down. And Paul Skeens isn't as sharp as he normally is. He still was able to give a quality start, but I think people are starting to recognize that, like, okay, this isn't the same guy that we saw in the Cy Young year last year. I talked about how momentum is tomorrow's starting pitcher in the last podcast we did, and the starting pitcher wasn't creating momentum. He was just trying to get out of jams, survive. And the offense does nothing. And then they do get to the ninth where, again, they load the bases. And it's a obstruction rule. to end it. And if you look at the literal letters of the rule, I do think that Billy Cook was at fault. If you look at the letter of the rule, good call. I don't know if it's called in like the way the spirit is intended. To make a metaphor to football here for a second, it's kind of like a 2-minute drive where it's like 4th and 10, and you get the incomplete pass, and you get called for a defensive holding that's a little ticky tacky, and it keeps the drive going. And it's like, you're not wrong, but let them play whenever the game is on the line. So I really, I get it, but it's still a base running mistake. And it's base running and defense that cost them on Saturday. Oh, and also not being able to hit with runners in scoring position the previous 2 days. And then they get to Sunday and they do hang on to win, but the bullpen has a near disaster at the end. Jared Jones gets hit by a line drive. X-rays came back negative, so exhale a little bit for the time being. He'll get checked out again in Pittsburgh to make sure all is good, but negative right now. It's still a scare. It's one of those, you look at the series, it's like, okay, they didn't hit for 2 out of 3 games whenever they're playing on the moon in Colorado. They didn't field well. They didn't run the bases well. They didn't come through in clutch situations, and the starting pitching was not as strong as it possibly could be. Bubba Chandler gave the best start this series. And even Jared Jones, I get why. Obviously, he was pulled from this game, but he didn't come out of the gate great. That first inning could have really tailspinned into something terrible. So you look at the series as a whole, and I don't know how you feel anything but frustrated about it. Where you look at this road trip as a whole and you're like, you know what, 3-3, you live and take. That's kind of what I've been saying for a while, is this team just needs to play 500 ball until, the All-Star break or the trade deadline, and hope that they'll add the relievers and the offense gets healthy enough that they're able to take that next step to become a postseason club. But this was a winnable series, a very winnable series. And if they had executed just a little better in pretty much any facet of the game, they would have swept. Instead, they're going back to Pittsburgh, losers of 2-3. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack hydration sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious, low-sugar, brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way for you to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean label certified and entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial ingredients. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. The Ultimate Sampler Pack includes all 3. My personal favorites so far have been the almond butter chip and the iced tea lemonade hydration mix. It's just really full of flavor. I love starting my day with it, and I couldn't imagine starting my day with anything else other than IQ Bar products. Right now, IQ Bar is offering our podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text MLB to 64,000. That's MLB 64000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
Here's what really sticks with me with this Rockies series is they got an off day Monday. And then it's Mariners, it's Reds, it's at Philly, and at Washington, which Washington, low-key, sneaky team, great offense. And then it's the Braves and Brewers before the All-Star break. Where is the breather? Like the Nationals is probably the closest thing they have to a breather. Okay, potential get right series. This is nothing but teams competing for the postseason. And then after the All-Star break, it goes Guardians, it goes Yankees, it goes Cubs, it goes D-backs, it goes Reds. And then it's the trade deadline. These are good teams. And this is not a Pirates team that can pitch late innings. They don't have the bullpen for it. I've kind of written off the bullpen until they actually start making a bunch of additions right now. This is what they are. This June bullpen, which is potentially historically bad month for them. They have that. They have an offense that's on the mend, that's not at top power right now. They've got a rotation that's not living up to expectations. There's just a lot circling this team that is not good vibes. And they are going through a real buzzsaw of the schedule right now. They're in the middle of the buzzsaw of the schedule right now. We talk about them adding to the bullpen and getting better at that point. But what if they don't? What if this team falls and they just drop too many series and they aren't in a position where they could realistically buy at the trade deadline? Or like, even if it's one of those, well, they're 6 games out of a wild card, but they're like 5 or 6 teams they have to leapfrog. I think that's a very real possibility right now with just the style of ball they've been playing. And just knowing that the late innings are always going to be up in the air and that their starting pitching hasn't been able to create the momentum that we thought they were going to be early in the year. That's what really sticks to me about this Rockies series. Because through all the faults that we have seen through this club, if they would have won that series in Colorado and come back to Pittsburgh 4 games over 500, if they would have swept in Colorado, which they realistically should have. They realistically should have swept this series. Winning 1 is it kind of indicates maybe that this team isn't, playoff caliber right now. I think it'd be a very different scenario if they were going back to Pittsburgh 4 games over 500 and you're doing the head math of like, okay, how do we get to 500 at the All-Star break? How do they get to having a winning record at that point? How many games do they have to win? It just got a whole lot harder. It just got a whole lot harder. And while they are still in the mix right now, if they aren't able to win now, if they aren't able to punch above their weight class right now, they're going to get left behind. This was one of the worst series the Pirates have had in quite some time. And it could haunt them for a while. We're going to see how they respond. We're going to see how soon it is whenever they're going to get Connor Griffin back, whenever we could see Jared Jones return on the mound, if he needs any time, or if he's going to be able to make his next start, whenever we see if O'Neal Cruz, when he's going to be back in the fold. There is a lot that we need to see right now. And I don't know how much time they have to just wade water. They need to keep their head above water right now, and it just got a whole lot harder because twice they couldn't come through with the bases loaded in the 9th inning or take care of the game in the 8 innings before that. Thank you so much for listening to Offbeat here on North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe wherever you find podcasts, or check us out on YouTube if you want to see my smiling face. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.